Hey everyone, thanks so much for joining us today. My name is Autumn Outlaw. I am the current chairman of the Dr. Pepper Museum and Free Enterprise Institute Board of Directors located here in Waco, Texas. I'm so glad to be here. I'm so excited to have our guest today. He is one of our newest board members of the museum, Dawson Barksdale. Thanks so much for joining us today.
So glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's such a weird time. We talked about earlier, the COVID time. I've not met you in person. We get to work together on this board. So I'm excited to get to interview you today and find out more about you. And people in the community can find out more about you too. So it's a great time to get to do this. So thank you again.
Absolutely. Yeah. So excited for it.
Yeah, so first things first, I think it's great people know a little bit about you. Tell us about your family, where you work, where you're from. Go ahead and share that with us.
Yeah, so my family's probably the most proud thing that I have to talk about. My wife, Callie, and I have been married almost 10 years. We met in Houston playing sand volleyball, and since she's not here to defend herself, she was so smitten by my athletic prowess that I convinced her to marry me a year later, which was fantastic. And so if you ask her that, don't ask her that. Yeah, we have 3 kids, 3 daughters. Landry is 6. Landry Joe, Liberty Ann is 2. And then we have a infant, 3.5-month, almost 4-month-old, Lady May. So 3 little girls. And I absolutely love being a girl dad. I think it is the best. And I have a lot of reasons for that, but for the most part, it's just a lot of fun. I haven't changed my hair color to pink yet, but it is starting to disappear a lot faster than I want it to. So I'm super proud of them. I grew up in Athens, Texas. I was born and raised in a small town. Ended up going to the University of Mary Hardin Baylor for undergrad and played football there 100 pounds ago. So I don't look like I play anymore, which is I'm very thankful for. Then worked in oil and gas in Houston for about 2.5 years. Got into the financial planning and stock trading business in Austin for about 1.5 years. Was hired on to be the VP of sales for one of my biggest clients. And then went and helped them grow their company to a point where it was no longer comfortable to be there, which was interesting and fun. Small company, they did about 175 million in revenue a year. So I was able to help them get some growth. And then the place, it was in a small town in deep East Texas, and we had a lot of fun, but it was like, I don't want to be here the rest of my life. And then we moved to Waco, started a tech company in Waco, worked for a bank in Waco for a little bit, started a tech company that was similar to Groupon. It was Groupon with a Snapchat twist, and that expanded from Waco. It was called Cypher, CYPHR, which was, we sent out secrets, which secrets is what unlocked a cipher code, which is pretty cool. But we'd send out secret deals that were time sensitive. Grew from Waco to Austin, Dallas, Houston, Nashville, Denver, and Seattle. We shut it down right towards the end for some partnership reasons. And so it was a very fun run. Did that for about 4 years. Settled in to just a day job for a few months, and then started working with Magnolia Realty there in Waco, and helped them grow their organization for about 10 months until it no longer made sense as a company for them to grow that division. And parted ways there. Great company. Really enjoyed working there. Learned a ton there. Had such a good time. And now my wife and I have moved out to Tyler, Texas. So we live out back in East Texas, and I've opened a car wash company. We're currently one of the faster growing car wash companies in the state from where we started. And the intention is to grow it and the mission is to create the best human experience in the industry. And with the experience from Magnolia and other organizations through my past, it makes it pretty easy to create a pretty good experience. So we're having fun with that. See where it'll go.
That's awesome. You've had quite the path that's led you to where you are.
Yep.
And I'm so glad that you were able to live in Waco and kind of experience Waco along the way too. I think it's a great community. I lived here almost all my life. So what a great little story. Thanks for being a part of the museum.
Yeah, those are just the high points. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what kind of led you to want to be a part of the museum? I mean, to me, like, you've had all kinds of great entrepreneurial kind of endeavors, and you've worked with people, all that. What has drawn you in to want to be a part of the museum on the board of directors?
Yeah, so I mean, I think the most some of the things that are so intriguing, it's a rare opportunity. The name of Dr. Pepper behind this museum, and then the Free Enterprise Institute. I mean, I think the museum is really cool, but the Free Enterprise Institute and what it was founded for, and the opportunity that it has, not being bound to any different organization, kind of having some free reign to do some cool stuff and to be creative, especially with, I mean, everybody's got to be creative now with what the new normal looks like. But even before that, it was, you guys have a rare opportunity to do something very cool, not only for the local community of Waco, by letting people earn opportunities and giving them resources to earn opportunities to make a better life for themselves, which is what free enterprise is. It's synonymous to capitalism, and sometimes that gets a bad rap, but it's very similar, and it's a good thing. I'm very passionate about it. Obviously, I'm very entrepreneurial, but a lot of people don't know what it takes, and I didn't know what it took in the beginning, and so I got some help along the way, but can always use more help and more resources to go, hey, specific niches. If there's a specific niche that this organization, the Free Enterprise Institute, with the Dr. Pepper brand behind it, can dive into and be a resource for people in the local community, whether it's Waco or Texas at large, or even just the whole country, to go, I'm going to go there to learn something, to gain a resource that can help me change the trajectory of my future. And I was like, that's really cool. That could be really fun. I have a lot of ideas, obviously. I have a lot of ideas, but there's already a lot of cool stuff going on, so I just want to be able to support it.
That's awesome. I love the energy you bring to the board. I think that'll be really, really great.
I haven't had my coffee yet this morning either.
Oh man, we're gonna be on fire because I drink dark pepper. I haven't had mine yet either, so a lot of energy there. Caffeine fuels lots of things.
Absolutely.
So, when you come to the museum, what's your favorite part of the museum? Like the one like go-to place you want to go to, or someone says, "Hey, I'm coming to Waco. I'm gonna go." Like, what do they have to see? What do you recommend as the place they can't miss when they come to the museum?
You know, and that's a hard question for me to answer, because when I go, I'm really going to see my girls, especially my oldest daughter, just wonder and wander. And so I know there's been some changes of different things. I mean, the part that always gets me is the part where it talks about the founding of it and how it started. Founding stories are always super interesting to me because they're all different, but they all have some similar traits of somebody had to have some grit. Somebody had to have some perseverance. Somebody had to have some vision. What did they see that nobody else saw? What did they have to endure that nobody else would? So that's, I enjoy going back to the area where it talks about the very beginning stages of this, to go, okay, man, I can relate to a lot of this. But my favorite part of the museum is watching my daughters run around and just have an absolute blast. Like it's so exciting especially the new interactive area. The soda fountains and all that kind of stuff, like that's super cool. So they love that, and I love that they love that.
I agree with that too. One of my favorite, I mean, I have so many favorite parts too, but every year at Christmas, except for this year, there's the fun Christmas event, and I love watching my kids go and just soak that in, and Santa's there and just the whole experience. So looking at the lens of what your kids see definitely makes it a different experience. So I can relate to that completely. And you talked about entrepreneurship and kind of how that all fits in the museum, but I feel like you'll have a great answer to this too. But what does entrepreneurship really mean to you, and why is it important that that's part of the museum?
Yeah, given the fact that I still can't really spell the word, I think it's it's just always hard for me to spell. What it means to me is kind of what I already stated, of like, this is the opportunity, and there's never been a better time in the history of the world to start something. Mm-hmm. It's so easy. But it's easy. It's simple, but it's not easy. I got that backwards. It's simple, but it's not easy. There's a ton of resources. There's a lot of things you can start easier than a lot of knowledge that's easy to get to, that's simple to get to. But then what do you do with it? The biggest thing about entrepreneurship, I think, is bringing a community together, because no entrepreneur can do it alone. They can to a certain level, right? Sure. But even like YouTubers or these social influencers, they have teams. They can't do it all on their own. And if they do it on their own, they hit a ceiling. Mm-hmm. When I think of entrepreneurship, it's often people will look at and name people's specific names. Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, the big heavy Elon Musk. None of them could do it alone. They had to have a community. And so the greatest entrepreneurs are the ones who can bring together a really good team to achieve a really fun mission, achieve a vision. They can see something and put a team together to get to that. But maybe it's just because of the team environment that I always love being a part of. Having been a high school and collegiate athlete on a team, and good and bad teams, that's what it means to me. But for a lot of folks, it means this is your way out. If you got good ideas come from the most interesting places, and to be able to have the opportunity to pursue those ideas well and test those ideas well is something that I think we owe to the rest of the population, to go, hey, here's a resource to test those ideas, to figure out if it's going to work or not, and we're going to help you make it a better idea and execute on it. No better time in the history of the world to be an entrepreneur and to start stuff than now. And especially right now, money's cheap too, so that helps.
Well, you're doing that now. I mean, you've done that in the past too, so you're an example of that. So I love that the museum's able to tie that together and show people, educate them on that, because like you mentioned, it's not always easy to do it, but it could be simple depending on the steps. So I love that the museum has that, not only the history of the soft drink, but then the entrepreneurial elements that help educate. So I think they're on the board should be able to answer yes to this question, but I'm going to go ahead and ask, do you love Dr. Pepper?
Absolutely. To caveat just a bit, like I said, I used to be about 310 pounds. And so I'm not anymore, which is good. So I do love Dr. Pepper, but I like Diet Dr. Pepper better these days. But every once in a while, I genuinely, like with a good slab of ribs or something, it's like, you gotta have the real thing. And so, especially those old ones with some Dublin Dr. Pepper, those are perfect. So,
yeah. Well, and do you have any fun stories with Dr. Pepper? Anything that stands out, like a fun memory, or anything that really, like, where Dr. Pepper is like the pillar of something that happened, or anything fun like that you can think of?
That's a good question. A Dr. Pepper story that would be a good one that's shareable in this environment.
Yeah, it has to be a safe one.
Yeah. I mean, one of my favorites, when you go to like a sporting event and you go to the concession stand, I've liked more drink than less drink, and they fill it up with ice, right? I was at a high school football game when I was in college, and I ordered a Dr. Pepper, one of the big ones, right? Give me the big one. And I told her I don't want any ice. And she said, well, we have to put ice in it. I said, I'm allergic to ice. Please don't put any ice in it. And so she didn't put any ice in it. I got a full thing of Dr. Pepper, and it was delicious. But that was because I wanted more Dr. Pepper. And it genuinely was Dr. Pepper. I was like, I want a whole cup of it, not just ice. Thank you.
Well, good. And that seals the deal. You are appropriately on the board of the museum because of your love. So not that it's a requirement, but as the board president, I check off that's definitely a plus. So
all right.
That's right. Thanks for coming on here and talking with me today about the museum, about yourself. Like I said before, you have a lot of fun energy that I think is really going to help us propel things throughout this next year. And so we're certainly glad to have you on the board. And I want to thank everyone for watching today too. We have more interviews with other board members, so be sure you tune in and check out who is helping push the museum to change and grow and support Waco. So thanks again, Dawson.
Thank you, dear.
Yep. All right. Thanks, everybody. Bye.